Okay, so number 7. So you could move the x to the negative 5 to the bottom and do a quotient rule. And I think that's actually easier to simplify. But if you didn't think of that, then you might have done a product rule. So here's my two factors. Find their two derivatives. This is negative 5x to the negative 6 and negative sine x. Okay, good so far? Okay, do your product rule. The derivative will be, okay, multiply these two. So I'm going to have a negative for the sine of x. So it's going to be sine x, and I'm going to rewrite that as over x to the positive 5. Plus, you could have done it as a separate step. Then you're going to multiply these two. Turns out it's a negative. Let me get rid of that plus that I wrote. Okay, so minus, multiply these two, and I'll have a 5. The cosine x is on the top, and the x to the 6 is on the bottom. Okay, so we crisscrossed, but when you're multiplying, move your negative exponents down at the same time. Is that good enough so far? Okay, now you just need to clean it up so that there's only one denominator. Okay, so I need an x to the 6 on the bottom. What? I left a piece there. It's okay. All right, so now we need an x to the 6th on the bottom so that we have a common denominator. That was the eraser. So I'm going to need to multiply by an x to make this the same. So if I multiply by an x there, then I need an x here. I won't put it out front because you might think it's sine x squared. I won't put it out back. So now they both have an x to the 6th on the bottom. So I have an x to the 6th on the bottom. And on the top, I have a negative x sine x minus 5 cosine x. That's your derivative. Okay, was that all right? Okay, number 9, quotient rule. Low, D high. When I do the derivative of the top, even if it maybe is called for in the back, I like to put it out front. I think it's easier to distribute that way. Minus high, 8x. D low is 5x to the 4th. Draw the line and square below. Now, you can factor from here or just distribute. Okay, and if you look at the answers, it kind of gives you a hint. So I can factor out an 8 from each group right now, or I can distribute and combine like terms. Whatever you think is easier. So probably you're going to distribute. And I get 8x to the 5th plus 24. This guy is not distributing because there's no plus sign. So that you just multiply, and it's 40 x to the 5th. If I did my math right. And now I think I have like terms. 8 x to the 5th minus 40 x to the 5th would be a negative 32 x to the 5th. And that should be it. So that's my derivative. Now, if you look at the answer and you see that they pulled out an 8, then you think, oh, I can do that. And what I want you to do when you check your answer is say, could I find that answer on a multiple choice test? Okay, so do you have to factor out an 8? The only reason you would have to take out the 8 is if it canceled with something in the denominator. Since nothing's canceling, it's not required to factor out that 8. Okay?